Welcome back to another video from the Debate Room podcast. I don't know what episode this is. I'll figure it out later. We're back with another NFL Center episode, back to back with that. We'll talk about NBA here pretty soon. But a lot has been going on in the NFL world. We have coach hirings, we have coach interviews. We had, since we last recorded, I think 2 new coach openings opened up. So actually, we'll talk about the Mike Tomlin firing as well. We haven't talked about that since it happened, because I think it happened the day we recorded or the day after we recorded. So I almost forgot about that. We'll add that to the topic list. Not firing. He steps down after what, 19 years?
Just about, yeah.
So that happened as well. So we're going to talk about John Harbaugh getting hired for the Giants. We're going to talk about Mike Tomlin stepping down from the Steelers as well. And then we're going to also go into our divisional round predictions. So this episode is going to be focused around the coaching carousel and the divisional round predictions for this weekend. If you're an NFL fan and want to stay tuned with our content and like some of the stuff we're talking about today, make sure you guys like the video. And I want you guys to comment what coaches you think should get hired for these positions we talk about later on in this episode. Let's get straight into it, man. Not enough talking needed. Not much talking needed. The New York Giants, they hired John Harbaugh yesterday night, I believe. The days are getting jumbled, but he will be their head coach. He's also bringing Todd Monken from the Ravens after spending 18 years with the Ravens and winning the Super Bowl and making multiple playoff appearances. Q, what was your initial reaction to the Giants hiring John Harbaugh? What do you think of the hire? If you want to grade it as well, do you think it was the correct thing to do?
Yeah, I totally agree with the hire. The goal of every NFL franchise going into any specific season isn't always to win the Super Bowl. That's unrealistic. Obviously, there are a slew of bad organizations around, and that could affect draft, how free agencies view you, and things like that. How coaches view you, how your fans treat you, things like that. So, sometimes you just need to become a serious outfit. And John Harbaugh, he brings that to the Giants. They suddenly somehow get some form of credibility. They can obviously, voices do weird thing when you stay at a place too long. It's happened to many coaches before. Sometimes you just got to move on and be a fresh voice somewhere else. Like I said in the Discord, it's easier to go from a Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr than go from bottom of the barrel and just hit it out the park, especially when you're a dumpster fire. Sometimes you just need somebody to get you there, and then later down the line, obviously John Harbaugh's old, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you could pivot once you have the culture built, which he's going to have hand in doing, making it a serious outfit, like I said. And then you go there and then you take the swing once you got your everything set. You got your quarterback, you got your wide receiver, your defense, everything is going well. Then you can afford to take the swing because you already have the foundation set. So I think for right now, they just need to become a credible organization first before they start making massive swings. So I think that was a great hire for them.
I'm not the biggest fan of John Harbaugh in the modern NFL because he doesn't call plays on either side of the ball, and he obviously doesn't offer a team any type of schematic advantage. I also thought towards the end of his time in the Ravens, his game management was pretty poor. They blew so many leads. The play calling wasn't aggressive, and the culture that he is so maligned for seems to have some cracks in it, as they consistently failed over and over again in the playoffs. I think he largely underachieved for having one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history as his quarterback. And also, I think that it's pretty clear that he was on the way to getting fired before Lamar Jackson was drafted. Now, in terms of him coming to the Giants, I like the move. I think it's good. Because, for one, he brings Todd Monken with him. Todd Monken is also old, and I don't think Todd Monken will be getting any head coaching opportunities here anytime soon. I don't think he's going to be a hot candidate on the market, no matter how well he performs. So, as a person that's not calling plays, having your offensive coordinator there for the long haul is something that I perceive to be as a positive. I think that's a good thing. Now he has to consistently hit on defensive coordinator over and over and over again. Now he's also older, so I don't think he's gonna be there like for 15 more years and like that. It's probably maybe 5 to 10 more potentially. So the good thing about this hire is that he's gonna have Todd Monken with him for the long haul, and Todd Monken should be able to do wonders for Josh Jackson Dart's development. I think that Lamar Jackson took a step as a passer as soon as Todd Monken became the offensive coordinator, and then he was obviously a clear upgrade over Greg Roman. So I think in terms of developing Jackson Dart as a passer and as a player, that definitely helps to have Todd Monken. I also think that it's a good hire in the sense of this organization has not had stability in a very long time. In the last decade, they have not had it. They've had multiple coaches. Pretty much all of them been bad. They've been one of the worst ran organizations in the NFL for a long time now. And John Harbaugh, I think, provides stability. I think that
coaching the division as of right now too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he is the best coach in the division. So I think I don't necessarily know he's going to provide a floor for them early on, but I do think he, with his experience, has seen so many things in this league and is going to be able to provide them with a sense of stability, a sense of he's going to be able to build culture there as well. In terms of them reaching a ceiling of like continued playoff success, a Super Bowl, I don't think he's going to get them there. And I think part of that is because he's going to have to consistently hire at least a defensive coordinator over and over again and have to hit on that position. But overall, I think it's a good hire because compared to what they've had in the last 10 years, he's definitely an upgrade in that sense. So I think John Harbaugh is a good, not great coach, and that'll be fine enough for the Giants. I think that looking at them holistically as a team, as to why John Harbaugh was like intrigued by this team is because they have talent on the defensive line for sure. They obviously need to improve that secondary, but they have a couple good linebackers as well. Their defense it has the infrastructure to be pretty good. They got to make some moves on the margins, especially in the draft. They have the 4th overall pick, so they can add to their not defense line, but their offense line at the top of the draft. And they have Jackson Dart, who played well this year, especially for a rookie. He played well against some really quality defenses like the Eagles as well. I think that Malik Neighbors is a talented young receiver. Hopefully, he can come back off injury and still maintain his level that he showed before the injury. Not the biggest fan of Cam, not really. I kind of think he's a gimmick player, but that's neither here nor there.
The reason for the Giants, obviously, the roster on paper is like, I wouldn't say loaded, but the holes are per se easy to fill. Like, but with John Harbaugh, since he's like kind of like a floor setter, like you need to have a roster. Like the times that like when he was about to get fired, he had lost a bunch of Hall of Fame players. Like Hall of Famers just retired. So like that went from a loaded roster to a bottom 10 roster in the NFL, and then you go miss the playoffs 2 straight years because you don't got nobody on your team, and you riding with Joe Flacco. There's only so much that can happen. With the Giants, you got a great D line per se, like based off name value. You got Brian Burns. Dexter Lawrence had a bad year, but he could pretty much bounce back. You got decent safety play. You need a corner. I say you need a tackler too, just O lineman, a real running back, and another like a tight end or something. You should be good. That's 5 positions. You got some money. You got some draft picks. You can trade down, stock up, and you can pretty much have a loaded roster. I think they're not going to compete for nothing serious, but like I said, they have the best coach in the division. They probably could add some wrinkle and some make it a little bit tougher in that division. Like you don't look at it as like, oh, they're going to be the worst team per se because they're still Washington wasn't good, and eventually the Eagles are going to come down because that money going to come due, and that might be a rise for them, and then that just gives them a floor to move off of John Harbaugh and really take a swing and then stab the division for their own later on because everybody's getting older.
Yeah, I also think obviously the intrigue was, is he not the highest paid coach in the league? Probably amongst it.
He
20,
might be. If they give him 25, he's definitely backing that. That's Mike Tomlin money. Mike Tomlin was getting 25 million a year.
yeah, that's crazy. That's even thinking about like $100 million is definitely a part of why he wanted to go there. But I think the Giants is probably one of the better destinations for a coach. So I like the hire. I'll probably I'll give it an A. Even though I'm not high on him, I understand the intrigue for the Giants. I think there's a chance. There's a chance it can fail pretty badly though. But we'll see. So I think it's a good hire. Though I'm not high on the type of coach that John Harbaugh is. Another coach very similar to John Harbaugh. Actually, someone that they probably have a bunch of respect for each other for competing over the last 2 decades. Mike Tomlin. I don't know why it looks like that. Mike Tomlin steps down from the Steelers out of 19 years. He reportedly just went into the locker room and said he doesn't think that he's the best person to do this anymore. But he never had a losing season. Consistently got to the playoffs. Unfortunately, hasn't won a game since 2017. But year after year after year, he hasn't. Year after year after year, consistently got them to the playoffs. Consistently did more with less, and now his reign in Steelers Nation in Pittsburgh is over. Do you think it was the right decision for both parties for Mike Tomlin to no longer be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Absolutely. Same thing with Mike Tomlin. Obviously Mike Tomlin is held in high regard. You just talked about John Harbaugh. They're pretty much the same coach. They pretty much had the same career per se in the same division. Like they have the same resume. John Harbaugh just happened to have more success as of late. Highly respected, did the best he could with what he got. For better, for worse. I think it's a great move for the Steelers because they could usher in somebody younger. Like I was saying, they're stable, so they're not quick to fire anybody. So whatever coach comes in there next is going to have a good runway that gives them a chance to get a quarterback. Obviously, they don't want to not compete, but they might have to. Maybe they trade their players and get on with the future. I think Mike Tomlin is smart for wanting to step down because it just grew stale. And like I said, eventually, if you stay at the place 10 plus years, eventually you're just gonna things are gonna run dry, run stale, and you're gonna have to move on. I'm not saying he's gonna be Andy Reid or anything. That's you still gotta run into a patch of Mahomes and get everything all your ducks in a row. But maybe you wait for the next spot. He do TV, whatever the case may be. And there's a chance it's a spot opening up in the same state he just coached in with the Eagles, and that's another team that's pretty much how he's always going to get him some talent. They're going to try to get a good quarterback. He doesn't really have to do much but manage the team. The Philadelphia Eagles is kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just need somebody to handle egos, which Mike Tomlin has been able to do before. That's a great job, and you can move on with the next part of their life. Same thing with the Steelers.
I think that I think that Mike Tomlin has the reputation of doing more with less, and to an extent that is true because I think that year after year after year, he's had some not great rosters, and every year he finds a way to have them with a winning record or competing for the playoffs. But over his entire tenure, I think he pretty much underperformed with some of the offensive talent that he had. Some of those teams from 2011 to 2014, or I think it was 2014 to 2017. 2014 to 2017. Some of the rosters he's had in his career, to only have one Super Bowl with a core that he inherited, it's underperforming. And he has not won a playoff game in damn near a decade. And some of the losses throughout his entire career are just pretty bad. He's not just losing to Hall of Fame quarterbacks. He lost to Baker Mayfield. He lost to Tim Tebow. He let up 45 points to a Blake Bortles led offense. He has multiple letdowns in the playoffs throughout his career. So it's not like he's just every single year like floor raising, doing more with less every year. There's some years where he has pretty big letdowns, and the Steelers have like underperformed. Like with some of the rosters he had, especially in Big Ben's prime, there's no way he should have only had one Super Bowl. I understand he played in the same, he coached in the same era of Tom Brady's prime, and I understand how hard it is for win the Super Bowl. But I think he gets this rap of, consistently overperforming, when in reality the Steelers just hovered around mediocrity for most of his tenure. So I don't know. At least half of his tenure, they since 2017, it's been mediocrity. So
I want I'm gonna push because it's like again, you playing in a vast based off like that standard. Literally 98% of coaches underachieved, like because they also had to deal with the same things as Mike Tomlin, as John Harbaugh, et cetera, et cetera. When there's an active dynasty, active GOAT quarterback playing in the NFL at one time, usually that's the person that's going to win the Super Bowls. So Tony Dungy, great coach, underachieved. Mike McCarthy at the time underachieved. Every single coach that's named, not Andy Reid or Bill Belichick, they underachieved because they didn't, for 20, now going on 25 years, they pretty much dominated all the Super Bowls, pretty much. Like they got
a lot
half
of
of
those got fired though, Q.
Huh?
A lot of those guys got fired.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's just, you're gonna get fired because eventually, like, you got to get over the hump and you need something different. But it's not like those teams fired their coaches and got like instantly won Super Bowl, like, actually won Super Bowls. They just, we keep losing, you ain't it, let's try again. And then most of those teams either got back to where they were or they just never got back to that spot again. They just never, so like pretty much everybody underachieved. But I understand the sentiment that like he's a fake floor raiser. Like he's not like, there's ways to make the play. Like
he's
coaching gets you to the playoffs. Like like to an extent, like playoff time, you don't, since he doesn't offer the schematic advantages, you don't get that type of floor raising come playoffs when things are a little bit dicey. But through a 16-game season, you could spot grit coach your way, motivate your way to an average of eight wins. And that's what he was doing. That's cool. But in terms of like winning a big one, when we're talking about a storied franchise like the Steelers, you're supposed to be winning Super Bowls. They still have the most Super Bowls, as a franchise, NFL history. But all of those came damn near pre-Obama. So it's like, to keep up with that legacy, you got to do something different. Like you can't do the same defense, run the ball type situation, motivational coach. Now it's time to get that schematic advantage for them.
Also, I mean, I'm not even asking the dude to win a Super Bowl. It's like win a playoff game. Like you got to win a playoff game at least. Like
it's garbage. It's horrible.
Losses to the Browns, losses to the Jags. That's tough. Obviously, they were not favorite in the game the other week against the Texans. That was obvious they were going to lose that game. I mean, that was obvious. It's not much he can do there. That was
for the games that they should have won. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to kill him from losing to Tom Brady in their prime, and I'm not going to kill him to losing to the Chiefs that 1 year or Josh Allen per se. But to Baker Mayfield and the Browns, they're supposed to come out with that win. Jacksonville was great that year. They're supposed to be Jacksonville.
Yeah. The fact that Mike Tomlin had to step down in order for him not to be the head coach anymore of the Steelers says a lot about the Steelers organization. They are so comfortable being in mediocrity. They're very, very comfortable. And it's been announced that they're not trying to rebuild even after this happens. Your defense is aging. You have good pieces on the defense, actually. But Cam Hayward is getting up there in age. TJ Watt is on the other side of 30 and is not the same player that he once was. He's also, I think, very overpaid. Jalen Ramsey, old. They have talent on this roster, but in order to actually reach the ceiling of competing for a championship, they have to take some gap years to really rebuild this roster, to get a quarterback that's going to help you for the future, and not just a short-term answer that also doesn't give you the ceiling of winning Super Bowl. There is no quarterback on the market they're going to be able to get that's going to take them to Super Bowl. It's just not. So they actually need to rebuild. They need to. And this organization is so stubborn, and they have this winning standard that they're going to compete every year. When in reality, they're not actually competing for anything but to get their ass whooped in the first round of playoffs. That's all they do. So
other franchise counterparts that like have the same kind of like history of being like never bad, but always solid. Like the Chiefs before Patrick Mahomes, they were never bad. They were always solid, even like 80s, 90s, 2000s. Same thing with the Vikings. Oh, never bad, always solid. They eventually took swings, and for better, like KOC is a great coach. Obviously, they have quarterback issues, but we think they're have a good future. Obviously, the Chiefs, they took a swing, got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and obviously now they became one of our premier fans. They got to do the same thing. They're living off of like 1970s, basically Super Bowls, not even the real Super Bowls that they won in the past 2 years. Really just what they've done as a whole, not what they've done for me lately. And this is the NFL. It's always what have you done for me lately? And they haven't been doing anything.
yeah, so I mean, hopefully for the Steelers fans, we know they eventually rebuild because it's about time. It's been 20 years since they actually went through a rebuilding process, or I don't even know if they did that then. Actually, they probably didn't know. So you have to rebuild in this league to actually have success, and at some point they'll need to realize that. All right, we talked about those two coaches, longtime coaches, going to new pastures. Let's talk about some other coaches that are going to be finding their way into a new role this coming offseason. Let's predict the NFL Coaching Carousel. All right, Q, I'm going to give you a team, and you tell me who they are going to. Well, let's do this. I'm going to give you a team, Q, and you tell me what head coach they should hire. Let's start. Let's go in alphabetical order. Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals. Who should they hire?
I was the Arizona Cardinals. I hired Jesse Minter. They know they don't have a quarterback. Obviously, they're going to move off Kyler. They have defensive talent. Jesse Minter seems to give them a schematic advantage with the defensive talent they have, and hopefully they get good on that side of the ball, especially with Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, and Kyle Shanahan in that division. You need some type of way to stop the ball, and hopefully you can provide that. Give them a runway, and then become respectable, and hopefully they could become another top team in the division again. But I think that'd be a good hire from them. They're not going to probably be quick to fire him.
All right, next team up is going to be. I also have Jesse Minter for the Falcons. Next team up is going to be Atlanta Falcons.
For the Falcons, I am going to go Kevin Stefanski. He's shown that he could do decent with not great, like top end quarterback talent, but he's made the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. He's made the playoffs with a carousel of quarterbacks before with the Browns. Obviously, the offensive mind, you give him a top 2 running back in the NFL. You give him Drake London, who's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. If they keep Kyle Pitts, he's not a top 5 tight end, but he's not a bottom 10 one either. So that's solid, decent O-line. He's has some things to work with. If they get a quarterback, they can win the division as fast as next year at like 8-9, 9-8, just like the Carolina Panthers did this year. I mean, they did finish with the same record.
I like Kevin Stefanski with the offensive talent they have on the Falcons. I think that would be a pretty much a match made in heaven. I think that Kevin Stefanski over the last 2 seasons hasn't really gave the Browns an offensive advantage because he's been on and off calling plays like that, and their offense has been middling for the last 2 seasons. But I do still believe in his play calling ability, and I think he'll be able to prove that with much better talent on the Falcons. The offensive infrastructure they have there is really good, and I think that they won't underachieve like they did this year. And in that division, he should be able to win it. He should be able to win it. That's a weak division. He should be able to win it. Next up is the Ravens.
The Ravens, I'm going Clint Kubiak, offensive mind. Lamar already said he liked Clint Kubiak, likes what he things that he runs. With the offensive talent that he has right now in Seattle, they're pretty much like a top 5 scoring offense, and it's really just Jackson Smith. But the run game is not really super efficient. You come over to the Baltimore Ravens with the run game situation already how it is with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. He can make some noise, and hopefully that's a coach quarterback combo that could last for like the next decade. Since he's offensive minded, he could just grow with Lamar.
For the Ravens, I have Brian Flores. I think that he can come in and install a defensive mindset. I think that he is one of the best defensive play callers in the entire NFL, for sure. I think that over the last 2 seasons, his ability to the Vikings definitely have talent on defense, but not like to where not great talent to where it should be top 10 both years he's been there. He's made life hell for quarterbacks, especially rookies. His disguising is really good. His blitz packages are really good. His stimulated pressure packages really good. So Brian Flores, I think, is a genius defensive mind, and will be a great pick for the Ravens. And I think he can go in there and establish culture. Now he definitely had to find a good enough offensive coordinator. I'm more so pro offensive coordinator over defensive coordinator. But I think Brian Flores is a little bit more proven than Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak did a great job with the Saints for a few games there, and then Derek Carr got injured. Other people got injured, and they went down. And he's obviously done a great job for the Seahawks this season. But I do think Brian Flores is a little bit more proven. He's already been head coach. He floor raised in Miami, and he had good defenses both years in Miami. And then he went to the Vikings and played well. He also learned from Mike Tomlin as well. So I think I'll feel more comfortable with Brian Flores a little bit. Next up, the Cleveland Browns.
I think this is a dead zone for whoever takes this job. So I'm not sure who would want it. But sometimes you got to call your shot and just take the chance and just get your name in the ring as a head coach when the job comes calling, whether it be for 3 years. You're still going to get paid anyway, even if you get canned. So I'd probably go with the passing game coordinator from the Rams, Nate. What's his name? Sean McVay they tend to do okay. KLC is doing fine. Zach Taylor, I think, gets too much flack, but he's done an okay job. He's an offensive mind. The offense was never really the problem. Whether he leads the team or whatever the case may be, or could pick a defensive coordinator is up in the air, but they at least don't outwardly fail. So,
for the Browns, yeah, I don't necessarily know who will want to go here. I think that it's not a great head coaching spot for anybody, but I think that I'm going to go with. I've seen that Grant Udinski is one of the top candidates. He's been credited with helping build the offensive system that the Jaguars are running right now, and obviously their offense has improved drastically from last season, especially to close the year. So I'll go with him. Next team up is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who is going to be their head coach, you think, or should be?
If I'll take a guess, it'd either be Chris Shula or Brian Flores. I'm gonna go with Brian Flores only for the simple fact he has familiarity there. He was there for a year. They have history. Like I said, they'll give him a long runway to coach the team. He knows he could be there for a good while, get the quarterback. Has some pieces on defense. Even if they do trade Wyatt and Cam Hayward, he could still put together, call a competent defense. So that's fine. Once they get the quarterback with the division the way it is in flux right now, he could definitely make his mark in there early and then probably get a long runway later
on. For the Steelers, I'm going to say Robert Saleh. I think he is a great defensive mind. We've seen that during his time with the Jets, during his time with the 49ers, and again with the 49ers this year. He's a leader of men, I think, as well. I think he is a good culture builder. He's a good motivator. And I think that I think he can be a good coach in this league. I think that he was with the Jets, and the Jets bring the worst out of pretty much everybody. You seen that Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers looked terrible last year, and then this year he's at least palatable for the Steelers as well. So I think Robert Saleh will be good here. They have aging defensive talent, But they also have young defensive talent. They got Joey Porter Jr. They got Jack Sawyer. They got I think Highsmith is still relatively like he's not old.
He's like in his prime right now.
Yeah, he's in his prime. I think they should trade TJ Watt, but if they really want to like just keep this thing floating, grab Robert Saleh. He'll have the defense playing well. They definitely still need a quarterback. I don't know where they're going to necessarily go with that. They obviously need an offensive coordinator. But if he can grab one of like Shanahan's disciples to pair along with him, that'll be pretty good. So I think very highly of Robert Saleh as a coach, despite what we saw in on the Jets. So I think that the Steelers would be a great spot for him. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, this is another one of those like Brown type spots. Like I would be hesitant to go there, but they also have Cam Ward would be intriguing to somebody. Like so, it's like they might have to trade Jeffrey Simmons. The defense isn't what it used to be, so it's like you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. Oh. Before I probably would have said John Harbaugh, but since he's with the Giants, I'd probably go. Dude, should I go offense or defense? No, if I take a chance, I probably hire Mike McCarthy if I'm the Tennessee Titans.
Oh man. For the Titans, I'm gonna go Clint Kubiak. I think that pairing him with Cam Ward, if he likes Cam Ward, then he takes his job. I mean, they don't have like a lot of talent on offense, like whatsoever, like not good, but they do have the most money in the league. I think they have a high draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously they do. And the most money in the league. That clap sheet.
They got the fourth pick. They got the fourth pick. The Giants got the fifth.
Okay. That cap sheet is clean, and they have Cam Ward, who showed flashes this year. Obviously, the accuracy, complete percentage wasn't great, but he's running for his life most of the time. People weren't open. There is talent there with Cam Ward. So if he believes in him, then I think he can take the job. And he definitely he did a great job in Seattle. He did a great job in New Orleans. So I think he can do another good job here in Tennessee. Next team up is the Raiders.
The Raiders. This is where I have Robert Saleh going. I think Robert Saleh with the Raiders team, defense is horrible. I understand like they're gonna have Fernando Mendoza, number one pick. They got Ashton Gentry, Brock Bowers. So you want to maximize the offense, but they also need to become a serious outfit, like I said with the Giants. Robert Saleh, I think, is a good leader of men. Defensive guys usually tend to like be that. I think that enticed Max Crosby to stay. Hopefully, they could turn that defense around. Hire a good offensive coordinator to go with him, maybe like a Cliff Kingsbury or something like that. And now you got a decent pairing for the next couple of years. Get that team back rolling in that division. We got Sean Payton, got Justin Herbert, got Patrick Mahomes. You'd want to be able to stop those dudes. Robert Saleh, I think, is a decent guy for the job. Ooh.
Right here I have Nate Skillhace. The passing game coordinator for the Rams, who's also been credited with some of their stuff, offensive stuff over the past few seasons. I think it's a risky move, but I am comfortable betting on someone that worked under Sean McVay. His disciples and his tree has been pretty good. Same with Kyle Shanahan in terms of the actual ability to call offensive plays. Maybe they're not the best head coaches, and maybe they're not like the best culture building guys, but in terms of them calling plays, they can do it. This offense has young talent on it with Ashton Gentry and Brock Bowers as well. So I think that it may be risky, and maybe Tom Brady doesn't want to take that risk, but we'll see. Last team up is the Miami Dolphins.
I think this is storybook. Chris Shula probably fits right in. You know, legendary. Don Shula, one of the great coaches in the league that knows grandson. I think he fit right in. Get a defensive culture in there. Get them rugged. Get them, flying around and things like that. Especially in that division where you got Josh Allen, you got Drake May. Pretty much for the next 10 years, pretty much should be putting out top 10 offense. You got to be able to stop them. I think with him, with the defenses, he's able to go with the D-line, talent, things like that. and making it a suitable defense without having a great secondary. I think he could do some things in Miami to shake up things in that division. Like I said, it's kind of like a match made in heaven.
I also have Chris Shula here. They need well, I don't they know that Tua isn't their guy, right? So Chris Shula is an excellent defensive coordinator. So I'm not sure, like I haven't researched into how he is with like managing egos. That's kind of hard to even know about a coordinator until you know. But I do know he can call defense. I do know Miami's defense is terrible and drastically improved that side of the ball. I'm sure he knows offensive guys that can come in and call plays. And I don't think Tua is the long-term answer. So they'll probably cut him after a year or so. But I think that getting a good coach in the building that can actually manage egos, build culture, and stuff like that, it will be good. All right, that's the end of the coaching carousel segment of this video. We'll go on to the NFL Divisional round picks. This weekend we have 4 games between 8 teams to decide who is going to the championship round for each team. So let's start with the Bills and Broncos. We'll go exactly in order. The Broncos were the number 1 seed and had to bye. Surprise team, I think, of the year, and one of them. And the Bills beat the Jaguars in the divisional. Josh Allen was Superman mode. He may be banged up. This Broncos have one of the best defenses in the league, even though they didn't play like it for like the last 6 to 7 weeks of the season. So who do you have winning in this game, Q, and why do you have the Bills winning in this game?
Hey, yo, chill. Nah, I guess I don't like to get too up, too down. I don't go too crazy. I don't like make swooping declarations, even when they are my guy. You said Josh Allen, he went Superman mode last week. I don't know if I agree with that. Like, when you look at the numbers, it seems that way. 80% completion percentage, it just like that screams Superman mode. But when we watch the game, he made 2 plays the whole game. I think it was pretty, even for a 3-touchdown game, I think it was pretty pedestrian. You know what I'm saying? But for the Broncos, this is a great defense, or supposedly a great defense. It was a great defense in totality. But the last back end of the season, it wasn't what it was the first half of the season. We also have like proof of concept with this exact same matchup last year. I understand it was in Buffalo, but the defense isn't drastically better than it was last year. And they beat them 31-7. Broncos went up 7-0, thought things were sweet, and then got routed. Things are different. Like you said, Josh Allen's banged up. They have 3 healthy wide receivers. Run game, run defense is horrible. You're on the road in Mile High, in the altitude, on the road again, back to back. Like, a little side note, this is their last year in Highmark Stadium. They're not going to be able to play a game at all, to end off the year at home. So like everything is on the road for them. So that Denver should win. Like, they should win. But I think Josh Allen, he's going to put the actual cape on. I think he's going to go crazy in the altitude, banged up, because he knows, based off the narratives and what's been said, this is his year. Nobody's pretty much in his way, a bunch of inexperienced cats. And if he could pull off something crazy, he could walk into his back-to-back AFC Championship games. So yes, I have the Bills winning. Probably going to be something about, I'm going to say 28-20. Bills, solid game. Get out there and try to, run the ball out so that they don't get the star quarterback hurt.
Now, I think the Broncos are the better team. It's just a tough matchup because the Bills do not have like receivers that just separate, beat man, get open. And that's tough. This is one of the best secondaries in the league. They do have a weak spot, opposite of Patrick Surtain, that they can target. But I think the Bills are going to try to run the ball in this game. That is the weaker part of the Broncos defense. Obviously, they get after the passer really well. One of the best defensive lines in football. They have Patrick Surtain, one of the best cornerbacks in football. So if they can get after you and speed you up, then that's what makes their secondary, I think, so elite outside of just Patrick Surtain, right? The weak part of their defense is their run defense. However, that is still like in terms of like statistics, one of the best in the league. Like yards per game, they're second. EPA per play, they're seventh. Success rate, they're up there. Like their weakest part of their defense is still really, really good. So I think the Bills do have to get the running game going in this game because it's going to be a little bit harder for them to move the ball in this game through the air. And I think that if they can run the ball, then it opens up their passing game. And that's similar to what happened last year. They were able to run the ball all over the Broncos, and then Josh Allen was able to kill him with his legs, and also once they were able to do play action and stuff like that. Once the defense softened up a little bit. Now the Bills do have a really good offensive line, but they're going up against one of the best defenses. It's a style clash almost with this team. So on paper, yeah, like I said, the Broncos should win this game, especially with how good their defense is against the run, against the pass this season. But however, though, I think the Bills defense has the opportunity to have a really good outing themselves in this game. Now, the Bills defense, obviously their running defense is one of the worst in the league, right? But the Broncos rushing offense
is horrible.
Isn't good. Like, so I don't even know if they're going to be able to take advantage of the Bills rushing defense in this game because their rushing offense isn't like good, especially since J.K. Dobbins went down. So they are going to, I think, have to rely on Bo Nix beating this pass defense over and over and over again. And this is one of the best pass defenses in the league. Now, I understand that it's inflated because teams just run on them a lot. But on a per-play basis, this is one of the best pass defenses in the league. So I'm picking the Bills. Josh Allen is, I think, the second best quarterback in the world. And on any given Sunday, he can look like the best quarterback in the world. He can play like the best quarterback in the world in the playoffs. And I don't trust Bo Nix to consistently beat this team as a passer. I think the defense is going to keep it close. Coming down the stretch of games, I'm going to go with Josh Allen making the plays over Bo Nix. I am. That may be a reductive analysis, but however, again, to really mainly focus on it, I don't think the Broncos' running game is good enough to take advantage of how bad the Bills' defense is. I think that the Bills' weaker part of their defense, even though it is still pretty good by the numbers, is their running defense. And if this offensive line, which is one of the best in the league, is able to hold up against that pass rush even a bit, with the mobility of Josh Allen, they're going to be able to score points. I think it's going to probably be a low-scoring game. I'm going to say Bills 24, Broncos 20. That's what I'm going with.
Sometimes like the reductive analysis is just the right answer. Like it may just seem like it's just too simple, but sometimes that's just what it is. Like you said, their run defense still technically is good. They also they're not really great at covering tight ends, which favors the Bills because like even though they don't have wide receiver talent, they still have like 3 very solid tight ends, which kind of goes underlooked. Like people don't really talk about the great offensive line and the 3 tight ends that they have. With that being said, they'd be able to attack the linebackers in space, and that's probably how they'll be able to move the ball, everything on the inside, quick 5 yards here, 4 yards, just take what they give you, kind of like what they did versus the Jaguars, and they could just get out the game. Should be simple. And if you gotta, like you said, with the run game not being that great, if Bo Nix has to throw the ball 35 times with the way the Bills play, and some tips and overthrows, they just somehow tend to come down with the ball when they need to come down with the ball. And Bo Nix might be liable to give you 1 or 2 of those, especially when he starts pressing. If the Bills get down to 10-0, I'm not going to be scared. If the Broncos get down 10-0, especially at home, they should be.
All right, so we both picked the Bills. Let's move on to the next game. 49ers and Seahawks. I was very confident in picking the Seahawks in this game before it was announced that that Sam Darnold may have an oblique injury. If he's banged up or can't play because he's questionable right now, this is obviously the 49ers. Drew Lock is not winning the playoff game. I'm sorry. Not against Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. But if Sam Darnold is healthy enough to go and like healthy enough to actually play well, I'm going to Seahawks here. I think that their roster is better. I'm a big fan of Mike McDonald and their defense and what they can do to Brock Purdy down all of his best weapons. So the Seahawks, the 49ers are banged up. They're injured. And this defense is nothing to scoff at. They get after the passer. The secondary is really good as well. So if they are able to take CMC out of this game, it's going to get really dark. And I can see Brock Purdy making mistakes as he did last game. And then their offense, I think, can shred the 49ers. The 49ers defense is not good. It's not. They were able to hang in the game last game because the Eagles made mistakes and they're not a good offense. Seahawks offense with JSN, their running game, the addition of Rashid Shaheed, they're dynamic, they're explosive. So I'm picking the Seahawks in this game. If Sam Darnold is healthy enough to play well and healthy enough to go, I'm going to say win by a touchdown. So I'm going to go 24-17. I'll say that.
We had the same score. I was going to say 24-16. Same thing, same difference. This is still like immense pressure on Sam Darnold if he's playing in the game. I don't care about the oblique. This is like if he loses this game, like the first playoff game, had to bye, everything like that, he's probably forever going to be known as like untrustworthy. Like because this is in the same situation, kind of back-to-back years. But the Seahawks should win this game. They should get after Brock Purdy. There's no Kittle there. It's CMC or bust. Obviously, DeMarcus Robinson can make a play. Jawan Jennings can make a play and whatnot. But this is an amazing defense. They fly around. They're quick to the ball. They tackle. They keep everything in front of them. So it's tough to play that Mike McDonald defense, especially when you got those DBs out there covering going crazy. You know, the interior D-line just helps stop the run game. CMC hasn't been the most efficient rusher this year. So if he's not giving you 5-10 yards a pop, it's going to be hard for them to move the ball. Sam Darnold just has to make 1 or 2 plays at JSN and they can flip the field. Maybe Rashid Shaheed flips the game on a punt return or a kick return or something like that, and they get out the game, you know, like I said, 24-16, something like that, and they get a trip to the NFC Championship game.
All right, let's move on. Texans and Patriots. I think it's a pretty hard game to predict, especially with some of the injuries that's been happening on in this matchup. Drake May, both for that's our guy, both of us. I'm definitely rooting for the Patriots to win because I want Drake May to reach a AFC Championship game in his first playoff appearance. But I think I'm going with the Texans. This defense is all-time great. One of the best defensive lines, the best defensive line in the NFL. Secondary is insane. They fly around the field. They're hard hitters. They've been the best defense in the league. They're very well coached. This defense is world bending, is game changing, and I don't think that. I think that with how the Patriots offensive line has performed and how it performed against the Chargers, it's going to be really tough on Drake May in this game. They're going to get after him. They don't have like the guy, like they just rush forward and then they can just play man. And they rush forward, they can play man. And then the Patriots don't have guys separate against man. They don't. Like I think at this point in his career, Stephon Diggs is best in his zone. Butte can beat you over the top, or whatever, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's gonna be very, very tough on Drake May. I believe in him. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks in his league, even in his second year. But he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the weapons to really, I think, overcome the Texans defense. They're not gonna be able to run the ball either. The Texans are one of the best running defenses in the league, and the Patriots running game is not good. Simply put. So if they win this game, I'm going to be shocked. Not shocked, but like I'm going to be very impressed with Drake May and his offense because the defense they're going to go against is ferocious. It's the best in the league. I don't see them getting it done. On the flip side of that, the Texans, they are going to be out. They're going to be without Nico Collins. So I think that makes this game pretty interesting. And their running offense is average at best, and the Patriots' running defense is really good. And they were able to get after the passer with Justin Herbert. Obviously, the Texans' offense line is not great whatsoever. C.A. Stroud's pocket presence looked terrible in the game against the Chargers. So that's interesting as well. I really just think that the defense is going to be enough to flip this game. That's how good I think that the Texans' defense is. If C.J. Stroud can manage the game, not make mistakes, they be able to run the ball a bit. They're going to win this game. I think it'll be low scoring, but I think the Texans are going to win this game pretty much.
I pretty much agree with most of the things that you said. We was talking about it in the Discord before. It's not that I'm doubting the Patriots or like per se or doubting Drake May or anything like that, but the Texans are one of the teams that could just make it hell for anybody. They rush for, they cover. They don't do anything fancy. They don't change the scheme. If on one drive you score a touchdown or you score points, they course correct, and you won't be able to do that same thing again. And now you're back to square one or trying to defeat this defense again. They fly at you, they hit you, they don't let you get extra yards. If you got caught the ball at the 42, you're tackled at the 42. So this is a championship caliber defense. They don't need to score 20 points. I know that was the thing. Like their offense isn't anything like that. They don't need to score 20 points. They scored 14 points offensively against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They scored 31 because they got 2 defensive scores. I'm not saying Drake May is going to have 3 pick sixes and they're going to fumble the ball 8 times, but if it gets tipped one time, like we've seen in the Chargers game, especially in the red zone, that flips the game a little bit or something like that. It'll be tough. Will Campbell had his hands for Oweh and Mack. Now you got Hunter and Will Anderson. That's like just a step above. Like so, you're going to be dealing with a lot of things, and with the Nico Collins not being there, understand like. That hurts because you ain't got nobody to attack Gonzo, whatever the case may be. But when you don't have your number one, like with Pat Surtain, who are you shadowing against the Bills? No point in shadowing anybody. You just line up where you line up, and we're just not going to go to you. If Gonzo's lined up over Christian Kirk, who just had 140 yards and a touchdown, I'll go to Hutchinson. I'll go to Schultz. I'll go to somebody else. So it's like you could kind of play chess with that and kind of maybe run the ball just to take the time down, play a defensive game, and they could get out this game. They could score 17 points and win this game. That's how the Texans want to win. I think that's how D'Amico wants to win games. Like go up 17 points and they could just tee off for the rest of the game. If Drake May does come out with this win, though, that's just another cabinet belt. But he's playing with house money right now. I don't really expect them to win, but if they do, it'd be cool. They are at home, but this Texas defense is just something totally different.
For sure. Last game was the Bears versus the Rams. The Bears make the improbable comeback against, or maybe we shouldn't be saying it's improbable based on how they played this season against the Packers. And here we are. The Rams struggle against the Panthers, but on the last drive, Matthew Stafford walking down. Jimmy Horn drops the ball, and that's the game. Who do you have winning this game, Q?
I'm going to go with the Rams. I would love the story. Either team that wins is great for the storyline of what they got going on, but the Bears defense is just not up to par. And we're just talking about Matthew Stafford legacy year, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, who slowly getting accustomed, Kyron Williams, and Blake Corum. Like that offense just walking down that very beatable Bears defense should be able to put up 250, 3 touchdowns, great offensive performance against them. I understand it's cold and whatnot, but quarterback, like this is a strong on quarterback. He's played in cold games before. Like he's played in NFC North. I understand he played for the Lions, but he's had to go outside of Chicago before. If anything, it's warmer than it was 10 years ago. So I don't really care about the cold weather aspect of that. I do think the Bears are a good enough offense to make it a game with the way they're able to run the ball. The offensive play calling between Ben Johnson and Sean McVay should be a chess match that we'd love to see. Caleb Williams, hopefully, see if he can make it a game. If it is close in the fourth quarter, I don't know who I'd like there because it's Matthew Stafford, MVP, versus Caleb Williams, who seems to be the best fourth quarter quarterback in the NFL. So maybe it could be close. It should be a shootout. Soldier Field, 7 o'clock at night, cold as football weather. This is like made for TV, but I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams are going to pull it out and go to the NFC Championship game.
I would be shocked if the Bears win this game. I generally would. I don't think they're going to be I don't think they're going to be able to affect the Rams offense like whatsoever. They can't get out they can't get after the passer, and the Rams have a really good offensive line. They don't have the bodies in the secondary either. They're not really like great at stopping the run either. Like this defense is not good. This offense is the best in the league. So I think they're going to have their way with them. To be honest, if you can't get pressure on Matthew Stafford, and you also don't have the bodies in the secondary, it doesn't project to be a good day for you. The Bears don't have the leeway or the margin for error that they did against the Packers. I think that if they spot them, an 18-point lead they're not coming back from it. They're going to get blew out. I think if the Rams might be able to get pressure against Caleb Williams and get him outside the pocket, make him make mistakes. Even though I don't think the highest of their defense line is pretty good. The secondary is not great, but it's definitely the weak point of their defense. But I think they're gonna be able to get pressure on Caleb Williams. I could definitely see it being a shootout. I don't think they're gonna be able to get stops on this Rams defense. I'll be very surprised if they do so. So I'm gonna pick the Rams to do so, to win the game. And I think the Bears obviously had a great season. You can't really be mad if you lose in the divisional round. Haven't won a playoff game in 10 years or so, maybe 15 years or so. So you can't be mad at that. But yeah, I think the Rams make it to the NFC Championship. I think the Seahawks make it to the NFC Championship. I think the Bills make it to AFC Championship, and I think the Texans make it to the AFC Championship. I think those are 4 pretty solid predictions from all of us. So that's going to do it for the episode. Make sure you guys like the video, comment who you have winning the divisional round, and then if you want to get your Super Bowl picks in right now too, you can do that too. So love y'all. If you watch this far, love you, and we are out.